Good afternoon. Welcome to my presentation. I'm Yang. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to share my talk with you. Now I would like to present my paper, Bridging Agricultural Training and Farmers' Adoption of the Resource Conservation Technology in South China. My presentation will cover the following aspects: introduction, conceptual framework, data model, results, and conclusions. In the first part of the report, I'm going to begin with general comments concerning the fertilizer use and agriculture development. As you know, many developing countries rely on fertilizer to increasing agricultural productivity in the past. For example, according to Food and Agriculture Organization, China's fertilizer use in agriculture has been steadily ranked first in the world for the past 10 years. The excessive use of fertilizer might seriously hinder the development of sustainable agriculture. So the Chinese government is making great efforts to introduce resource conservation technologies into farming practice to reduce the use of fertilizer. You can see the drip fertigation systems in this picture. The drip fertigation systems is the application of fertilizer sort or drip irrigation systems. Growing evidence has indicated that the DFS can improve the efficiency of fertilizer and water use. However, compared to many developing countries, the application and the development of the DFS are relatively later in China. This may be related to the way in which the current agriculture innovations are disseminated. Agriculture training is the most commonly used extension mode in China's agriculture extension systems is worth attention. According to above, this paper has two main objectives. The first is to clarify the role of agriculture training in the banana farmers' adoption of the DFS. The second is to examine the pathway of how agriculture training affects banana farmers' adoption of the DFS. Next, I will describe the conceptual framework of this paper. Agriculture training aims to make farmers aware of the new technology and understand the best practice of the technology. If farmers practice the new technology is feasible in production practice and could bring economical returns, they have a tendency to adopt it. However, farmers in a community usually have formulated particular conventions for farming practice throughout generations. And sometimes it's difficult to change farmers' mindset of cultivation. And the change of farmers' perception requires them to have the absorptive capacity of new knowledges. Agriculture training is an intervention, and generally the trainers have better agriculture and more experience in agricultural cultivation, and they can easily gain farmers' trust. This we suspect that agriculture training may change farmers' absorptive capacity about the knowledge of the DFS and influencing their adoption decisions. Moreover, at the early stage of agricultural technology diffusion, only a small number of pioneers are willing to try the new technology, while most farmers are in a stage of wait and see. During this period, this non-adopters attempt to collect the information and learn about the new technology from the adopters, production practice, and the social interaction among families can often accelerate the learning process and help to spirit ideas about using the new technology. Agriculture may increase opportunities for family social interactions. Besides, we think agriculture training provides the channel of active learning for families and link to the adoption of the DFS. As the technology is new to ordinary farmers, they have to invest time and energy to understand it by learning. During the training, trainers may suggest farmers using their smartphone to access useful information about new technology, and the trainers can also organize the trained farmers to establish communication groups by WeChat. It can facilitate information sharing in the groups after training ends. So we think agriculture training increased non-farmers' adoption rate of the DFS, sort improving their absorptive capacity, social interaction, and active learning. Let's move on. In this paper, farmers' observative capacity of the DFS is defined from three aspects. The first is applicability of the DFS for the local farms. The second variable is perceived ease of using DFS. The third is perceived economic benefits. Farm social interaction is measured from two aspects. The one is frequency of farmers' interaction with local government, which covers small-scale farmers, large-scale farmers, and agricultural retirees. The other is interaction range, which represents the number of farmers closely interacted. Then active learning, it means farmers take the initiative to use smartphone to access agriculture information. Next, I will cover the data in this paper. The data used in this study come from a household survey of non-farmers conducted between July and November 2019 in China. The stratified random simply math used to select simple farmers. The final dataset we obtained consists of 325 adopters and 307 non-adopters. We use two models in this paper. The first is the mediation model. The mediation model is used to examine the influence path of agriculture training on DFS adoption of farmers. Considering the endogeneity problems that might occur in farmers' participation in agriculture training, the treatment effect model is used to overcome the problems. In the end, we got the result of this paper from descriptive statistics. We can see that adopters and non-adopters seem differently in terms of their observative capacity about the DFS. The adopters obviously have a more positive observative capacity about DFS in these regions. Similar, the social interaction and the active learning of adopters are better than adopters. Further, we did an empirical analysis. As we expect, agriculture training can increase in farmers' adopter rate of the DFS. We conduct a robustness check by replacing the main variable treated with training experience. We found that training experience has a significantly impact on non-farmers' adoption of the DFS. Thus, we think the result can be seen as reliable. In this table, we can see that agricultural training can significantly promote farmers' perceived applicability and perceived ease of use. Then we use the agricultural training as a control variable. We find that farmers' perceived applicability and perceived ease of use also had a significant influence on farmers' adoption decisions. So we can say agricultural training increased banana farmers' adoption of the DFS so to improve their absorptive capacity. Similar, training can influence farmers' adoption decisions by increasing the frequency of their social interaction. However, we found the training cannot expand farmers' interaction range, and the range of interaction also has no influence on farmers' adoption decisions. Besides, we can see that agricultural training can significantly promote farmers' active learning, and farmers' active learning has a positive impact on their adoption decisions. So, agricultural training not directly affect the banana farmers' adoption decisions, but also improves their adoption rate by strengthening their social interaction and active learning. In the treatment effect model from the results of the selection equation, we can see that banana farmers with high education, more planning experience, and frequent contact with local government, village cadres, and large-scale farmers have more tendency to participate in agriculture training. From the result equation, compare with those who did not participate in agriculture training, the proportion of the adoption of DFS by trained farmers was higher. Based on the results of the treatment effect model, we can calculate the average treatment effect of agriculture training on banana farmers' adoption decision. The probability of adopting the DFS by trained farmers and non-trained farmers is 0.57 and 0.48 respectively. After controlling the possible endogeneity problems, agriculture training increased the adoption rate of farmers by 18.75% on average level. Finally, this paper draws the following conclusions. First is agriculture training positive impact on banana farmers' adoption decisions. Third is agriculture training increase the possibility of banana farmers' adoption of the DFS by improving their active learning, social interaction, and also the capacity of the DFS in turn. Then agriculture training still has a positive impact on banana farmers' adoption decisions after the endogeneity problems was solved to use the treatment effect model. Especially agriculture can increase the probability of banana farmers adopting the DFS by 18.75%. That's all. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.